You know what I love? My previous video covering part 1 of a series I'm calling Swanmire, Strixhaven's actual rival school. Because I started making that video before all the stuff with Reality Fracture came out, and then I just had to pivot. This is part 2 of said series, so if you haven't already watched part 1, I highly recommend checking it out for a bit of context. After you finish that video, return here and unpause me. Welcome back to part 2, where today we're going to be looking at Silverquill's colour-shifted rivals, Copperfang. Strixhaven's Silverquill is to lore what Swanmire's Copperfang is to finance. That was my initial thought going into this video, but as I was going through the word soup that is my creative process, I came across an idea that flipped everything around a little bit. What does money even mean in a world like Arcavios? You see, Magic has a funny way of presenting things in their world building. You only get to see what they want you to see through the cards and online stories and few novels here and there that they've come out with over the years. On every card in a set covering new or returning planes, we get some art and in some cases flavor text that builds out the world that we're witnessing as we're playing the game. Strixhaven is an interesting case to me, as we don't see commerce or poverty or anything really to do with a money-driven society. The only exception to this rule is the card I've found, Tempting Contract, with flavor text that involves a school financier talking about debt. But what is the circumstances of said debt, or are there even consequences? The card also just seems to give treasures to everyone. So is this society communist? I'll leave it to SpiceAtRack to answer that one. My point is Arcavios seems to be a world without financial want. Most of their problems are magical in nature, and even the people who aren't part of the school seem to have done fine for themselves. So what if, say, there were a group of people who took the concept of money and wanted to be the best at it? Well, it would look to me like a bunch of people trying to outdo each other within a certain set of rules. That's right, the finance bros of Arcavios are just gamers and collectors. Also sometimes scalpers, let's be real. So yes, Strixhaven's Silverquill is to lore what Swanmire's Copperfang is to finance. They both want to undermine the other players in their game. But while Silverquill uses words to influence the people around them with White's color identity, Copperfang offers a more factual, simplistic variable: value. Yeah, I know it's more like numbers, and numbers are more of a quandrix thing, but I'm trying to stay away from all this stuff happening over here. So let's continue down this thought process. If we try to break up Copperfang into its two basic schools of thought using the colors blue and black as a guide, I've come up with the College of Analysis and Risk. The College of Analysis, centered in the color blue, focuses on
the numbers, basically. What do they mean?
Students focusing here can analyze the system and or the players, and aim to play everything as optimally as possible. In more gaming terms, they net deck and play the meta, read what's popular and buy early to sell then at the right time. It's a very logical and importantly blue choice. The students of Risk, on the other hand, throw that logic out of the window. They aren't above taking unoptimal plays for the bigger benefit, taking a loss here and there only for that risk to pay out big time later. These are the gamers that play for jank. And I don't mean, oh, all my cards have feet in the art, market cornered. No, I mean the people that play non-deterministic 3-card combos that 75% of the time win every time. And then you mix the two together, and you get Treasure Hunt, Zombie Infestation style combos, or Thoracle Consult, to, take your pick. But with our colour through line and themes discussed, let's see how that would look in cardboard. We're going to start with what I assume would be an easy pick common for draft: Stock Analysis. Stock Analysis is a 4-mana sorcery that has you create a Funge token, then draw a card for each Funge you control. What is a Funge, you ask? Well, At Swanmire, the students of Copperfang are encouraged to come up with creative ways to simulate interplanar trade. To do this, they've set up a system consisting of fun utility non-redeemable gold exemplars, or funges for short. These fungibles are a unique currency that have found a niche of their own, being bought, sold, or traded for across the campus. Of course, there are rarer funges that are worth more money out there, or so they give off the illusion of higher value. Funges also double as the school's mascot, so they get to join in on combat somehow too. I theory crafted a few different keywords, but they either felt too unintuitive or too wordy. But then I remembered the decayed mechanic. It works well for what I wanted to do mechanically. Low value creatures that you can either let stick around to hopefully use in a meaningful way later, or use that small incremental value as the game ticks on. I really enjoyed cards like Tormented Soul when I first started playing Magic, doing a pseudo Boggles thing before Boggles really took off. So I made it a token, slapped on a downside keyword, and voila, Funge token. Decayed also feels flavorful in the way that the value of something can decay over time. So it's a win-win overall. But what do you do with these easily reusable, cheap and efficient creatures? Well, that's why we bring in the Talented Risk Mage. A 4-mana 3/3 that uses the keyword I've given to the college, Exploit. When Talented Risk Mage exploits, it makes an opponent discard 2 cards and mill 2 cards. A calculated risk to use a funge for such things, or is that what Copperfang students want you to think? But hey, wait a minute, don't these two mechanics seem oddly familiar in close proximity with these colors already? Yep, no, I straight up ripped it from Return to Innistrad Zombies. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Obviously, a little bit of a flavor change, but I think that just goes to show how interesting and unique mechanics can evolve and change to fit the theme of a given set. The last common card I want to take a good look at before the rapid fire round is Fungify. One, because the simple edit I've made to an already awesome piece of artwork really captures the flavor and energy that I want in this card. And 2, because I really think this card has legs for a 2-mana common. Essentially, you make a card into a funge. It gains decayed and can't be blocked. It's a clever little one-time effort to push some damage through, or acts as pseudo-removal in a pinch. Sure, it doesn't just kill a creature outright, but you can stop a creature from attacking you for a turn, if at least the opponent wants to keep it around longer, or it means that you only get hit one more time. So yeah, it's not the greatest removal piece, but that's just part of your risk analysis. Plus, you draw a card anyway. In our rapid fire round, we have Novice Trader, an early funge maker that can also scry you 3 if you think that's a better trade-off. Balance Book, a 3-mana equipment that can keep generating funges or continuously refunge any funge it attaches to. Swift Trade, a simple 1-mana hybrid cantrip that can also set you a treasure for later use on a later turn, or finish an opponent at a low life total. Lastly, Unholy Bond, an effect that, looking at it now, has a really high tempo ceiling when you have funges in the mix, compared to its predecessors of course, Unhallowed Pact and Unholy Indenture. Could I have come up with a better unword? I guess we'll never know. Our first uncommon is the Funge Scalper. Of course, with all the trading doohickeys, there's always that one douchebag that buys as much stock as possible so they can sell it back to the public at ridiculous prices, real-life semi-current events included. I also like to think of it as an agent of treachery if it had a more flavorful mechanic, because I freaking hate that card so much, especially when I played it during the standard that it was in. But if you want to get rid of a scalper, where do you send them? Jail? Yes. But you could also try the exchange center / illegal market. I just had to, rooms for classrooms, obviously, and, WotC, if we don't see your actual reality for extra school without rooms, it will be about as bad as you not putting the party mechanic in the Final Fantasy set. Yes, I know they had the scene box, but that doesn't count. Anyways, rant aside. Exchange Center is an interesting choice of mechanics, I know, especially if you never get to the illegal market side. But while I was designing these cards, I had a thought that maybe there was a sub-theme of your opponents getting negatively affected when they had funges. Never happened, but as a standalone enchantment, I think illegal market is an interesting design space that WotC should look more into, to give the player a benefit for not blocking, essentially. There are a few cards like that in the past, but none that give you something, more so take away from your opponents. Lastly, I want to talk about our student. If you watched my previous video, or if you haven't, go watch it already in a new tab, I'll still be here when you finish that video, but in my previous video, I made my legendary creatures based off either real people or anime characters. But there are only a few good characters that I think fit the bill when it comes to plausible Copperfang students and staff. They have to be well known, kinda funny as a crossover, and or uncontroversial IRL. In the end, I decided for our student to be Mabel, Audacious Phenom. She's just a bear that becomes prepared when you have 7 or more artifacts. Then you have to sacrifice those artifacts to basically grab any spell from any library and you get to cast it for free. Well, the spell still costs 7 because Dragon Balls. What are you gonna do? Okay, rapid fire uncommons. First off, Price Spike. A Pump X spell that gives you a refund or more depending on if the creature dies that turn or if you're blocking a big threat. This basically becomes a 1 mana get a bunch of treasures, and obviously it works well as a finisher when cast on a funge that can attack. Market value, more of a card I designed for flavor than function. I imagine this is probably too slow in a lot of cases, or ends up working too similar to Price Spike as a game ender if you get it on the board early. Otherwise, it might kill a creature, but not for a particularly good rate as an uncommon though. Our last uncommon is Tradebinder. This is where the real funge generation begins. Yes, it's expensive, but it would be too strong, I think, if it were just a few mana cheaper to cast or activate. And hexproof because is it really a trade binder if you just have all your cool cards that you don't use but want to keep in there? I don't know. It's really not up for me to decide. Of course, our first rare is the rare mascot. This is a 5 mana 10/10 that is actually a 5 mana 6/6 in a 1v1 and a 5 mana 2/2 in Commander. I definitely did not make this as strong as the gnome one, but hey, in a perfect world, this is a pack one, pick one in draft, no doubt, right? Right? Limited players tell me I'm right. Next up, we have Monopolize, a card I wanted to make because the name seemed too cool not to use, and I actually think I cooked here just a little bit. Basically, you choose a creature type, then starting with you, each player may choose to sacrifice those creatures to then give you a treasure, or you just gain control of all of those creatures of that creature type forever. It's a win-win and should probably cost a little more mana, but that's only because the ceiling of the spell is so high. Worst case scenario is that your opponents maybe have 1 or 2 of the creatures that share a type, and you just get rid of them to have a couple of treasures, which isn't bad, but it's not a straight board wipe. Best case scenario, it's a one-sided board wipe and you get a bunch of treasures out of it. Certainly a constructed sideboard all-star if funge control ever becomes the meta. Something that is probably too shenaniganly, even more so than Monopolize, to ever see play outside of Commander are our Deans. Starting with Mom, Dean of Analysis. Yes, I did just put Mom from Futurama's head onto Liliana's body. If you're feeling some way about this picture, that's on you, buddy. Of course, Mom exploits creatures, but it's only for her loyal customers who love her, and if they ever find out she was a secret evil billionaire who only cares about money, well, that's when she runs away and brings in the big guns. Cangrejo, Dean of Risk. Yes, we're doing SpongeBob again. This guy is a 1/5 crab for 3 black pips that reads, when this creature enters, gain control of all permanents you own. For each permanent you gain control of this way, each opponent discards a card, mills a card, then loses 1 life. I think this is a really interesting card commander-wise, as there's a lot of ways to change control of permanents, mostly creatures, in these colors, and this is a crazy finisher to get all of your stuff back and rip your opponent's resources from them at the same time. Even possibly winning on the spot, depending on how many things are returned to your side. This is also a decent tech card against theft decks, which is my least favorite style of deck to play with and against. Mostly because I want to play with my toys. I put my cards in my deck so I can play with them, not you. On to our final card for this school, our Mythic Dragon. Now, I wondered for a long time who could lead such a fine school. Could it be represented by a Scrooge McDuck, a Bruce Wayne, or even a Morticia and Gomez Adams? No, these are all fun billionaires who would love their students and make sure they all do well in their assignments. I needed someone with a sense of style, a spice of superiority, and a penchant for penny pinching. And I found the perfect vessel.
I'm looking for a man in finance. Trust fund. 6'5", blue eyes.
Teso Copperfang is of course an elder dragon with flying and hexproof for 6 mana that has the ability to pay 1 in a hybrid blue or black, to sacrifice another creature, to then special summon his Blue Eyes Phantasmal Dragon. Although technically in the show it's a white dragon, that's not in the color identity for this pair, so I'm sticking with blue. Also, I think it would be really cool to pay homage to Phantasmal Dragon, another card that I just happened to really like when I first started playing Magic, and it works well with the theme of Seto Kaiba also summoning many dragons, or at least 3, I think. Am I too clever for this? I don't think I am. And that's the end of the video. I know it's been a while since the first one, over a month's time, but that was because the first time I started making that video, I was unemployed, and now I'm only slightly less unemployed. I really do want to keep making these videos even after I complete the series. One, because I edited videos as a career before, albeit for the news, which is a much shorter and faster daily paced turnover compared to YouTube videos that I'm doing for fun. But I also wanted to do this as a creative outlet, and if you're good at something, never do it for free. Except now, when I'm actually doing it for free. You know what, never mind. Like and subscribe so that I can get enough traction on my channel that I no longer do this for free and can actually become even less unemployed. And hit the bell so you can comment first in my next video. Also, same as last time, here's the Unscripted Art Yap. Hopefully this time without the high-pitched noise. So, see you next time in the next video, which, again, might come out in another month's time. Hopefully I'll find the time to at least finish the series before we finally get to Reality Fracture spoilers, and even though everyone's kind of in a Marvel mood right now, Alright, so here we are again, Unscripted Art Yap, starting off with Novice Trader. Our first piece of artwork here, we've got Emperor and Tactician by Cynthia Shepherd, sort of being the base there, Deck of Many Things by Vulcan Barga, as the sort of hands that hold them, and in an earlier version of the artwork here, they were holding just the Deck of Many Things cards, but obviously once I made the funges, I went back and I put the funges in there. And then we have Talented Risk Mage, starting with Centaur's Herald by Howard Leon, as our sort of main backdrop. Obviously we've cut out the Centaur, and our main character of this art here, sort of adding a few different bits and pieces over top, but I just like to point out this guy's face is over here now, and it's his beard flowing all the way over here to sort of hide the fact that I don't know how to Photoshop very well, and that is a big chunk of the artwork. Everything else I've very cleverly hidden, definitely very cleverly hidden. So we've got, Elbrus the Binding Blade by Eric Deschamps over here as our throwing dagger. I probably could have gotten a better dagger. It's got a weird curve to it, but hey, what dagger doesn't? And then we've got Frantic Search by Mitchell Malloy as our main thrower. Obviously moved him around just a little bit. And of course he's throwing at the Wheel of Fortune by Daniel Yellen. Next we've got Swift Trade, a pretty one-stop shop for this one. Shrewd Negotiation by Slavomir Maniak. I don't know how to pronounce half of these names, sorry, that's just my bad. Yeah, she's holding a playmat with stitched edge and rainbow foiling, and she sold it for a single funge. Yeah, I thought that was pretty easy, pretty neat. Stock Analysis, another pretty easy one, using Expedition Skulker by Matthias Kolros, as obviously she's holding stuff, but she's actually just holding like a, I don't know, some sort of Zendikari technology. I thought it would be really funny if I could somehow edit it so the vapors were coming off like a cup of coffee. Didn't end up working that way, and of course like a cell phone checking her stocks on her phone, of course. Fungify, yeah, we sort of went over this in the video, but it is Spirit Mirror by D. Alexander Gregory. Again, a really beautiful, absolutely beautiful piece of artwork that, like, it just works so well for what I wanted to do in the artwork here. So yeah, pretty much didn't really mess with this one. But goddamn, this is gorgeous piece of work. Then Balance Book, yeah, Arcane Epiphany by Andrew Marr. Funge Portfolio for Dummies, and then just a bunch of funges flying out of it, just to make it work. And then we have Unholy Bond, which has a few different things going on for it. First and most obvious is Azra Oddsmaker by Josh Haas. He's just chilling out there, being menacing and stuff, and being like, "This was the deal. 1 funge for your Drake companion," or whatever the heck it was. Yeah, Lawyer Drake, that's right. Lawyer Jake by Bayad Wu. And then Mystical Revival by Izzy. He's holding the contract. That's the deal. Drake for the funge. Would you take that deal? No, I would not take that deal. Funge Scalper is basically just Fleshbag Marauder with a bunch of Modern Horizons 3 collector booster boxes and a very, very importantly funge over here. Give him a fedora, because of course it would wear a fedora. And then these people in the background just like at a convention or something. I don't know, took it from the internet. Oh yeah, and the desk is Leovold. Yeah. Then we have Mabel, Audacious Phenom. Obviously, Toei Animation / Akira Toriyama, the GOAT. And then she's got her little Dragon Ball radar with a Dragon Ball right in front of her, or should I say, an Dragonkind orb, an orb of Dragonkind, a ball, a dragon. You get it. And then there's a funge guy in there, being cute and stuff. And then the rest of the artwork is Defiant Ogre. I really just wanted like dragons flying off in the background. Like I literally wanted this scene, but of course I'm not good at photoshopping, and so yeah, we've got this sort of messy, like what the heck even is this part of the image kind of thing, you know. Price spike in Funging 101 class. Aim for the head. We took out the arrow. Yeah, I probably could have kept the arrow in. Might have been funnier. I don't know. But, you know, everyone in here is surprised except, well, yeah, Blood Money, Inka Schultz, except for this person here. Cram Session by Martinale, hanging out in the background, just sort of being thing. And as you saw me zoom up on that, you probably also saw, oh yeah, the Blood Money, that's where the money explosion comes from. Massive raid by Zoltan Boris, whose artwork I've used quite a few times now, actually. Miscast. This is a much more crazy thing to have to react to than, I guess, your funge spiking in price. But yeah, there's a little Poison Dart Frog, just chilling out. Just chilling out. Next card. Exchanging during a legal market. Okay, so this one was, again, pretty easy. You got Grand Entryway and Elegant Rotunda mixed with The Enhanced Surveillance by George Rutakowski. This one I did not intend for the archways to line up quite as well as they did. Obviously they're not like perfect or whatever, but like it's cool that they're both archways. And then I just flipped this image around because I wanted this to be the exchange center and the other one to be the illegal market. So that's just an easy mirror. And then I just added a whole bunch of funge stuff. And then this I got from like a stock exchange image. I don't know what any of that is. If anyone who's into that sort of stuff would even know, looking at a distance. But that was kind of what it was supposed to be like. Market value. This was quite a fun one. We got an Aarakocra, we got Alicia, and we've got Annex and Siamede just chilling in a meeting. Funge's up 10,000%. Isn't that great? Market value is such good. Wow. Trade binder. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the funges for a little bit. So obviously we've got all these different types of funges. I made several of them. You saw them throughout the video. This one here, I wanted to make like a funny little collection. A funge with a mouse, with a mouse, with a mouse, with a house, with a blouse, that was about to get doused reading Faust on a dirigible. Yeah, that didn't end up making that joke in the main video, but that I thought that was funny. And then yeah, this art of Web of Inertia by Don Hazeltine is the only like sort of actual magic artwork I used in the funge creation. The rest of it is obviously just Doge and like stock images and stuff. But if you've never seen Web of Inertia before, here it is. It's a card from 2002, Judgment. Not going to go talk about the card because that's not what this is about. It's about the art, but I just thought this was a very interesting piece of artwork. And yeah, if you've never sort of seen some of how a bunch of the old artwork looks, they have this very almost dark vibe to them. Like not dark necessarily in color, obviously, but like sort of like dark fantasy almost. Yeah, no, there's a lot of cool artwork, a lot of cool stuff like this. A funge mascot, yeah. So again, this is City of Shadows by Tom Wunderstrand. It's there's this again dark feeling to it. Obviously, City of Shadows makes a lot of sense, and that was kind of used as the background for this image here that you probably saw in its entirety in the video, and that is the mascot itself. And because most of my experience and what mascots even matter to like colleges and stuff is through media, dumb American stoner college style movies and stuff. They're like, oh bros, they're stealing our mascot, da 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 da. That's what the artwork is depicting. Obviously the base of it is Grizzlebrand. This was actually the inspiration for putting the Swole Doge whatever as like, this is the main one, this is the main funge. Here again, you probably saw it all in the main video. Rummaging Looter. This card was, I believe, one of the unsets, but yeah, by Heather Hudson. And then in the middle also this art of is a merfolk looter probably reacting to the to being stolen. So yeah, that was quite cool. And then You've Been Caught Stealing by Brian Valeza, another sort of more modern piece that has a lot more brightness to it than the really old stuff we've been looking at. But yeah, I thought that was just quite funny. Monopolize, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's just more of the Obsidian by Randy Galagos, except instead of accepting like thrall sacrifices, it's funge sacrifices, because it's taken all of the funges, the backs of the magic cards, because they're tokens, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. Angry Doge. Dean of Analysis. The name really is just like a play around with the accent, because I don't have the accent to say mom. That's how I would spell mom. Anyway, mom or mom. Yeah, her face on Liliana's body. And if you've never seen the full artwork of Professor Onyx before, here it is. There's quite a few cool details to it. She has a little pet fox here. I don't know where that comes from. You've got a picture of her and her brother, probably. And then, while this looks a little bit like Rowlet, it's probably just her dad. And then, in my version of it, I put her sons. Yeah. Yes, SpongeBob again, because SpongeBob is very funny as a crossover. I basically just took Bribe Taker by Christopher Burdett, and just threw a piece of artwork of Mr. Krabs, and then in the actual artwork he's like holding money, so I gave him a funge instead, and of course a monocle and mustache, because he's an evil billionaire. Yeah. And then of course, last but not least, we've got Tesso Copperfang, which is a white dragon. Gave it blue eyes instead of the lack of blue eyes here, because blue eyes white dragon. Da-da-da-da-da. Gave him the hair, the jewel disc, and the cloak or cape or jacket or whatever the heck this thing actually is. But yeah, this one was really funny to make. A lot easier than the previous dragon. And then of course our blue eyes white dragon illusion token. Yeah, and you guys know what a blue eyes white dragon is, and if you don't, this is a blue eyes white dragon. Anyways, thank you for listening in on this completely unscripted Art Yap. Yeah. I might transfer to start making like short videos of the cards themselves, and then maybe making like a longer form video on the Art Yap and stuff. I don't know. I'm throwing things on a wall and seeing what sticks. Definitely gonna get through the last few schools of this. I've got, the sort of broad stroke ideas down on paper already, so it's all written up in a document somewhere. But yeah, let's see how the next one goes. Catch you later.